the computer. Roche.
Okay,
Yeah, he's.
I think it's time we should get started. It's 7:31 and looks like we have a good crew. Welcome to the Astro Cafe for November 14th. And yeah, we don't have a list of any presenters at this point. So if is there anyone who has something that they want to speak to or has any business that they'd like to cover? Don't everyone speak at once.
We're talkative tonight.
Yeah. Okay, well, if there's nobody, feel free to jump in if anything comes up. I know that Dave Payne had mentioned earlier that there's some talk of a summer star party, and I don't know much about what that's about, but if maybe you want to give some outline of that, Dave.
Sure. So the star party that you attended, Brock, and a few of us attended in August, the August full moon, was quite a success. But it was mainly put on by the Cowichan Valley Stargazers. It takes place in Bright Angel Park, but they're stepping away from organizing it. And this star party has a very long, this island star party, there's a very long history on the island. So I myself, well, we spoke to the Cowichan Starfinders and agreed that we would be taking it over and they would be stepping back in 2023 version. And so what that means is they will be advising us, but we will be the main hosts for the star party in 2023. And there's a lot of things that they did in 2022 that we'll have to take on in 2023, and we'll need a few volunteers to help out. So there's not a date set, but there's a meeting to happen shortly where we'll basically get a debriefing of all the things that they found they had to do. And in preparation to that briefing, I'd just like to put the call out for volunteers at this stage. And maybe in the next week or two, if you could put forward your name to myself and or through Gary, and we'll start making a volunteer list together. Now, there's not much to do other than some long lead items at this time. The main activities will take place in July and August of next year.
Is Bright Angel Park a place that has to get booked ahead of time?
Yeah, I'm not sure how much lead time they need. I think they like lots of time, so there isn't a hard deadline on it. But definitely we want to kick it off in this year. So, and we promised we'd come with some volunteers, anyways, for a meeting in late November or early December.
Okay.
How many people are required and what sort of duties would be involved?
There's probably a major force of 3 or 4 people. It's everything from lining up insurance to organizing speakers to putting up tents on the day to hosting the program, making sure we leave the site in good condition on Sunday, tear up put up and tear down. Advertising, which is something we kind of let fall a little bit in 2022, but hopefully we can do a better job of getting the word out about the Star Party. So,
Margie, did you have a question?
I do. I have two. My first question is, did we take this on because we are very good-hearted and nobody else wanted to do it? And there is nobody else to do it?
well, we don't have a Star Party. We're probably, other than this, we're probably one of the few RASC groups that doesn't have not a single Star Party. So I think it behooves us to have one. This is a long-standing island Star Party that I think is an opportunity to take it over. It's been going for dozens of years. So I think this is an opportunity. It was brought before us for council a year ago, and we voted it on council that yes, we would support the Star Party in 2022 and take over organization of it in 2023. However, if we don't have volunteers, obviously we can't put it on and it'll fall, and we won't actually have a Star Party that I know of. So, you know, Star Party is a big part of what we do. So
Yes, we have had a Star Party in the past. I've only been around for 4 years, but we have had a Star Party in the past. It just hasn't worked out lately because of 2020 and a few other things. So it's not that we haven't had a Star Party. This group hasn't had a Star Party. I don't know the historical part of that, but it is my belief that we have a Star Party.
well, a Star Party is a Star Party, and it will be what you make of it.
We've actually had 2 Star Parties for many years. Both Victoria Centre and Cowichan Valley ran Star Parties on consecutive months.
Lauri,
And
did you have?
we had a variety of sites that we tried, and short story, we weren't happy with them. I'll leave it at that.
Well, we can change the site. If that's what I think, the Bright Angel Park is a fantastic site.
Oh, I agree. I think Bright Angel is a site we should not lose.
Lauri, did you have a question or?
Yes, I have 2. I think, Margie, did you get your 2 questions answered? I think
I
you only
did.
answered 1. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Number 1 is, what date is it, David?
We haven't picked a date yet. It'll probably, well, we have to talk about it, but it'll likely, we'll try for the nearest full moon in August there.
Okay. And then 2 is, are we responsible for food?
No,
Right, okay. Okay, yeah, because that was a big deal that we did kind of do some of that at other times. So I just didn't know whether or not we were going to
Unless
try to
you-
do that.
but like the agenda isn't set. If you think it's a really good thing to provide food, we could certainly try and do something like that.
Ask Deb, yeah, okay.
Just to follow up on that, the new moon in August is the 16th, so and that's a Wednesday, so I guess we'd either go the weekend before or the weekend after. So 12th, 13th, or 19th, 20th.
And it runs from Friday till Sunday morning.
Okay. So 11 to 13 or 18 to 20.
Okay. Reg, looks like you had a question.
I just wanted to say, I think the 12th and the 13th of August are the best dates. The moon rises around 2 o'clock on the 12th, about 12% illuminated. And a little bit later on the Saturday night. The later you delay it, the more likely you might have shower activity. So I would go with I would recommend they pounce on the mid August night if they can.
I think I'm getting my hair cut on that night, so I gotta check the calendar.
Nice.
No, I don't. The intent isn't to pick all the volunteers to organize it this evening. It's just to give people an indication of we will need volunteers to pull this off, and just put notice out there.
Chris, looks like you've had a question.
Yeah, I had this, I missed one or two questions, so I hope nobody else asked this, but I was curious about why Cowichan is kind of dropping out of this. Are they having problems?
Well, I'm trying to think of a tactful way of putting this. They are aging.
There's no one left, basically, to put it bluntly. They've run out of volunteers.
Right. John?
Yeah, just a little bit of history that might help to answer Margie's question, but also some of the rest of you might like to know a little bit of this too. We used to have, for a while, a star party at the top of the Malahat. We were making use of the gun club's facility up there. And one year we made a serious attempt to try to have a joint party with Cowichan Valley, because at that time, a number of us were sort of looking at the future and realizing that it was difficult for any of the island groups to have a really successful star party if we didn't all kind of join together. When we had those parties up at the Malahat, we tended to get the Nanaimo people, also some people from even further up the island, and we also got people from the mainland. And I really think, I mean, I kind of hate to say this because I'm one of the aging people in our group, and I may not be able to do a heck of a lot to help, although I'll try. But I think it's a very worthwhile thing to think about, really putting an effort into making this kind of a star party really fly, because it would be wonderful if you look to the long-term future, if there was an island star party that people really thought about and wanted to come to from other parts of the province or the country.
Yeah, and it is what we can make out of it. We could make it a huge deal. We could make it a modest deal. We could we just need, if we get a lot of volunteers, we could make it a huge deal.
Hey, Dave, is there any thought about doing it a month earlier? And the reason I bring that up is the Soyuz Mount Kobu thing is on at the same time, which is a very large one that goes from August the 12th to August the 20th. And I was just thinking, if you did it a month earlier, you might get people that would go to that one to come to Vancouver Island, for instance.
I think one challenge, Ron, is the night lengths. We start going too close in towards earlier July or June, and we're starting to, it's not getting dark till so late that the nights are short. It helps.
That's
ideally you want kind of mid-July, mid-August weather with sort of late September dusk times, because nice to have things getting dark and having true dark before, almost midnight like we have in early July. So
No, I understand.
Typically with Mount Cabo as well, there's a few dedicated ones who stay the whole time, but most people just go for a few days, so they can fit in our star party and theirs.
Okay,
It does, that has happened in the past where people have gone to both.
mhm.
Next year, the 13th of August is the peak of the Perseus too.
Well,
Bonus.
that'd be a bonus. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would be very nice to have something that had participation from further up island. People, people could come from Courtney, Comox, Campbell River and beyond. It would
But
be,
Ron was at the last one, right? Ron?
I was, and you know what? It's a great location for it. Really great.
it was my first star party I've ever been to, and
Mine too.
I wished I'd brought some equipment and camped up there, but I just didn't even know it. I had no idea what to expect. So
Yeah.
As far as food's concerned, people who don't want to bring food, there was people ordering in pizzas, having them delivered or going to pick them up in the area. There are food options around. They're not exactly not out in the sticks.
yeah, it wasn't too far from.
No.
It was a short drive in from Duncan. So
Yeah, it's only 10 minutes from the highway, and
yeah,
there's a Tim Hortons down the road. Whatever.
go to Prima Strata, load up a bunch of pizzas, bring them up.
Yeah.
Okay. Gary.
I was just at a motorcycle rally my son was attending, and it was rather remote outside of Duncan at their racetrack. But surprisingly, a lot of food trucks are willing to come up and set up there. So that might be an option we could be looking at.
That's a very good idea.
Yeah.
Because then there's not a lot of organizing other than just say, hey, show up and people will give you cash.
Yeah, exactly. So let me see. This motorcycle thing was about the same size as the Star Party, and I'd say there was about 4 or 5 food trucks. So it's worth a thought.
Yeah.
Right. How many people were there, Gary?
At this motorcycle race, I'd say there was about 200 altogether. No, that's less than that. I'd say about 100 altogether, 150.
Okay.
What were
Anyways,
the
I'm sure
what were the numbers at the party?
it was 50 on each of the night, give or take, plus not including the public that was walking through and checking things out. Those were registered sort of people.
David, I think your comment about the advertising is key. If people don't know about it, they're not going to be there. And this is a good thing for families to be doing. How far is it out of town? Just, for those of us that don't know.
45 minutes drive.
Okay, so it is quite a ways then.
It's a couching station.
But there's
It's
camping there,
about,
right?
10 minutes from Duncan and about 45 minutes from Victoria.
I think a key thing would be to get, if we could sort of have a presence there that was sort of like the way it was done, mostly it was just people with their own personal gear. And so if you just kind of are a human that wanders in off the street because you heard about it, it's maybe a little uncomfortable just kind of approaching people to use their personal gear. But if the RASC actually had some equipment there and we had, almost an outreach team that was set up strictly to try to help just the general public that doesn't come with gear, just to have a good time. I think something like that could really help.
I mean, that's all for the deciding. So I think we have
exactly. Yeah, we need the volunteers, we need the meetings, and
we need the volunteers, and we need some, 2 or 3 point people.
Yeah.
To do the organizing, and we can debate all these things, and make it whatever we want to make it.
Okay. So bottom line, get in touch with Dave, and if you're interested in helping, and we can turn it into something great. Is there anybody else who had anything else tonight that they wanted to review? Any stuff about light surveys or James Webb issues or triumphs?
Has anybody
Is-
been out?
Does anybody know if Artemis is going up on Wednesday?
Haven't heard.
As far as I know, it's still going, but there was this issue with something that got affected by the hurricane, and I'm not sure if they were going to be discussing it, and I haven't heard anything, but I mean, the countdown is on. It'll be about 10 p.m. tomorrow night if it does go. And
Is the pointy end still up?
it still is, yes.
Always a good sign.
Oh, it's a good sign.
Actually, I had well, I've got the floor. I was contacted by somebody in Calgary who was looking for somebody who knows a lot about SETI, the search for extraterrestrial intelligence. And I thought I would just ask if there's anybody here or who would know if somebody would be good, maybe a good speaker or discussant about that topic.
Chris, I have a question for you. You know that instrument on the James Webb that had a glitch? What instrument? What's the status on that?
They fixed it.
Oh, what was it, and how did they fix it?
Oh, just a minute here. I saw something about that the other day.
A long screwdriver.
A very long screwdriver.
A very long screwdriver, yeah.
That instrument produced some spectacular images, like my goodness me.
Yeah.
Even if it wasn't working optimally.
Yeah.
Just let me see if I can find it. Okay. I'll just one second. Maybe I'll just give it to you right from the horse's mouth. You see that?
Mm-hmm.
The mid-infrared instrument. Okay, does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you very much. Yes, that's good.
Okay.
Thanks, Chris.
That's nice to hear.
Bill had mentioned a question around if anyone's been out enjoying the last few nights of clear skies, I think.
Yeah.
Have you been out, Bill?
Yeah, I was out last night. The seeing was like out this way anyway, was exceptional.
Really?
Like, oh yeah. I went out because I could see Mars up and threw my little 6-inch scope out in the driveway and threw a 5mm, actually a 4mm eyepiece in it just to start out and never went back. It was just, except it was the boring side.
The boring side of Mars?
It's the boring side of Mars.
That's what I managed to photograph the other time.
Yeah, just there's like a brown band here and a little bit of white there, and that's about it. But it was really, it took the power really well. And then I took out the 1-inch telescope, the Galileo scope, which just showed an orange ball with chromatic aberration. So
well, it's colorful at least.
I could see that it was a disc. So I'm curious if it's good tonight to go with, because I have a little 1-inch aperture mask on for my 6-inch scope. And then I put a 50mm eyepiece in it, which gives about the same magnification, but it's a way sharper view. So I'm curious to see if any coloration differences could be seen with just something that's 27 millimeters in diameter and f43 or whatever it is.
Wow, that's quite the effort.
Yeah, but it's still only like 15 times magnification.
Wow.
So Bill, I have a question for you.
Yes.
My spies tell me you're building a van. Is that true, to go observing with?
No.
That's not you.
A van.
Yeah,
You're
a
thinking
van,
of
a
Ken.
van conversion.
No.
That's not you. Okay, fine.
No.
Ken's doing that, I think.
No. Yeah, I know Ken's doing it, but someone told me Bill Weir was doing it too, but I guess not.
No.
Ken's
I don't
keeping
usually-
us posted at the Astrophotography SIG on his van. So he's been using it.
All right.
He better
Is
come
that
to the
so
star
that he
party.
has like, will he have like a ramp where he can just shoot it out the back and then the telescope is out and then just slide it back in? I saw
No.
a station. I saw a
No, I-
station wagon once that had that. It was an SCT on like a rail system, like you would, I guess like in hearse or where and the scope would just slide out and then used for imaging, and then they could just slide it back in and drive off.
I was
That's,
considering that, but I just went with the bed and the diesel heater.
Yeah.
the rails thing.
Oh, he's
I found
here.
out, yeah, I found out the hard way, the rails thing doesn't work. I had my two scopes on rails on a slight downhill coming out of my garage. So that was always exciting getting them out because they used to go down by themselves. And this was the 25 and the 20, and it just does not work, period. You cannot get the rail steady enough to do any imaging whatsoever, practically.
What if you put a leg under the end?
A what?
A leg, so that it's propped. I know that they're wangy, but if you had something at the end, sort of like a table leg that swung down. But this is like I think this was like a 14-inch or a 12-inch.
Yeah.
It wasn't as large an aperture as you have.
Yeah. It was an interesting empirical engineering design.
I'm sure.
It didn't work, but oh well.
That's part of engineering.
Design for the 32 was to put it in a horse trailer with a hoist to get it out.
So I have
Gary,
another.
now that Arizona has swung Democrat, are you going to go back to Arizona?
Well, that did have an impact, by the way. Yes, indeed. We left there because of one certain individual, but no, we've now set up Camp Up and Chase to be next to the grandkids. So that, and I have all my scopes in my basement here, and I'm looking at them every day and whining about it. But I'm arguing with the local riparian people. I want to set up right next to a ditch. And since the ditch may feed a stream, which may feed another bigger stream, which may feed another stream that there may be trout in someday in the future, maybe 100 years from now, yeah, I have to stay 50 feet away from it. So that's really putting, giving me a problem. And then in order to prepare the site, I have to pay, if I wanted to do it permitted, I'd have to spend about $60,000 to put enough gravel down. So it's all been a lovely time of talking to municipal people.
Wow.
Wow, that's right. Anybody want some scopes cheap? You know, like I'm thinking about it.
Back to the horse trailer.
Back to the horse trailer, yeah.
Oh.
I'd mention it to Pearson, but they're flush.
They
They
have
just,
lots of scopes.
well, they just got a 90 millimeter Coronado.
Yeah, I'm just kidding. I'm not going to sell them. I feel like it though.
Oh, frustrating.
So I'm going to ask a question that, seeing as there's a few people here, and this might be Brendan. I see Brendan on here. part of our national board. Does anybody at the center ever have problems when they go on like the national site to do anything with their account, like re-registering or anything like that? Or is Chris here? Does he have any problems with the membership or anything like that? I'm just curious for when the board meets, the council meets in December.
Dave?
Yeah, just about every single time.
What happens?
One of the things that happens is you get subscribed to every single
Email list.
forum series and email list there is. And they're all like, I just did my thing, and then all of a sudden my inbox was just full of stuff.
And then did you unsubscribe?
That was very difficult.
Is it?
Because there is no what do you call it? Who's in charge of a forum series? There is no adjudicator or no one in charge. They're just email lists that are floating in space. So
the forum list, you should be able to unsubscribe from the website. If you go online, all the forums are archived, and in your membership list, you should be able to unsubscribe from them there.
okay.
You go into your account.
So you log in, and then it's under the secure RASC site. Should say lists. You should see a drop down for lists, and then you go in there. It'll show you everything that you're subscribed to, and then you can just click unsubscribe, and you should drop those ones. It's supposed to be basically fully automated without the need of a moderator looking after them. Leaving poor Mark alone for this point in time.
Yeah, there are some issues that have been encountered. For example, if you go to join or renew, it gives you a kind of top 3 closest centers, but only about 6 or 7 of the centers didn't have correct information, including ours. So you were given the choice from here of Vancouver, was it Okanagan or Calgary, I think, because most of the BC centers didn't have the right information in them, so they weren't coming up in that list. So I've been discussing that with Phil at the national office, so that is getting fixed. But there are some obviously some other issues. Randy let me know that he's getting some emails, I guess, from the as center president from the driven people. He's going to start forwarding those on to me because unfortunately I don't get them at the moment. I just take the opportunity to say and welcome Brendan, who is a national director. So if people do have questions for national, please ask Brendan. Sorry, I cut you off.
Actually, one of the things I wanted to ask is to make sure that everyone this year, without major hiccups, have gotten both their observers handbook and the calendars that they ordered. This year seems to be going much smoother than last year. So if someone doesn't have them and thinks they should, can you please let me know?
They seem to be
Brendan,
arriving.
we ordered the calendars like as a large order.
Yeah, the center orders got duplicated.
Oh dear. Okay.
For some reason. I can't remember what the explanation was, but basically we did a check to verify it, and for whatever reason the software decided that check was actually another request for an order and pushed out another order.
Oh no.
And sent everything out again. So we're recouping those, and that was, they know what they think they know what the problem is, so that's not super huge issue. What I'm really worried about is that anyone who's had like their individual calendars or their handbooks through membership not arrived through the store.
We got everything else we ordered that came through the national office, but we don't have our calendars yet.
As the center?
As a center, we don't have them, yeah.
Okay, how long has that order been outstanding?
About 3 weeks.
Okay. I will bring that up Wednesday at the meeting just to make sure.
Okay, well, I've got everybody. I do have some explore the universe and explore the moon workbooks. If anybody would like some, I've already given them some copies to Margie and to Brenda Saupo. I've got a couple of copies else as well of the almanacs for 2023. So if anybody would like to have those, I think one other person ordered an almanac from me. But everybody, we're still all waiting for our calendars. So we'll do that. And I'm really hoping that we get them before February. That's all.
You should. I will not promise, but most of the centers have ordered them, have received theirs, and the unfortunate second shipment.
Oh dear. Okay. No.
So we're not in bad shape. So they're going out, and they're going out in a pretty reliable order, which makes us happy. So we're not having the same issues with our supplier and middle management that we had last year, as we've switched the distribution company.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Brendan, where are you located?
I'm in Thunder Bay.
Thunder Bay. Well, thank you for looking after this.
Mm-hmm.
We appreciate it big time.
I see Dave has his hand up again.
False alarm.
Oh, false alarm. Okay.
Oh, that's good.
He was back adjusting Nina and he didn't notice.
Actually, I just come from the Sarnia Center meeting, and I had told them to come here and crash your party, but I don't see that anyone from that center has taken me up on that offer.
It's a bit late.
Mm-hmm.
It is.
How big is Sarnia, Brendan?
Sarnia is about the same size as Thunder Bay, so they're around 50 members, give or take.
Okay.
They've got actually the group that showed up to the meeting tonight was an interesting mix of people, and the best part was that they're fairly young, so it's a young center in terms of age and really being in the process of rejuvenating itself.
And thanks.
Do we have any other people who have anything to speak to? Anything? Any questions?
I'd like to remind people that there's a council meeting tomorrow night at 7:30. If you're on council, and if you're not on council, you're still invited to attend the meeting. If you want to, let me know and I'll send you the link.
Thank you.
So Lauri is so busy. What are you doing these days? Excuse me.
I don't know whether you can hear me. I just want to introduce myself. I'm a new member. So this is my first sitting now listening to everybody. I'm down in James Bay. My telescope's on the balcony, and it got cloudy again tonight. So
oh no,
it's working fine though. Last night was awesome. I just realigned everything and got some good shots. And thanks for having me.
Welcome. What's your name?
Malcolm.
Welcome to the RASC. Do you do astrophotography?
Yes, I do. I'm just still learning most of the room. I'm sat in my bedroom, but all of the controls are right before me, and I was looking at what was happening, and it was getting cloudy, so I just put it into park and have been listening in to what's going on here. Like everybody, I'm using and AstroPixel. And I'll send some stuff in that I've got from the balcony here.
Excellent.
And I'm just in from Toronto.
Okay. Do you want to join our special interest group for astrophotography?
Yeah, please. How do I do that?
We've got to get you on the RASC Astrophoto group list. Is that Joe can do that?
Yes, you can just email web@victoria.rasc.ca. I'm the webmaster, Joe Carr.
Oh, okay, got it.
You can go to our website and click through on that. If you have any problems, just give me an email.
And,
Will do.
and on the website, there's also mention of our special interest groups. I'm not sure which page it's on, but there is a link on our website somewhere to contact anyone that's associated with the special interest groups. So off the top of my head, I don't know where is. Somebody showed it last meeting, actually.
Yeah,
But-
I did. I can do that again.
Okay.
Just give me a second here to get the share working. So under events, the second item here is special interest groups. And there's a little description for each, and there's a clickable name here beside each one. So all you have to do is click and your email program will come up and they can take it from there as far as getting you signed up. So it's pretty simple. Events, special interest group.
Got it. Thanks so much.
Okay. I got a question about that sort of thing. Is there any activity on the makers group? I've been associated now for a year and
Yeah, there's
I tried to get into that, but I haven't heard a peep out of that group.
it's pretty light. There's only a few of us that get together. Are you really interested in making things?
I've been making them for 50 years.
Do you want to join the group?
Love to. I tried to get organized for that.
Okay, I'll make sure you get on there.
Thanks.
What's your name?
Larry,
Larry.
Manuel.
Okay, gotcha. All right, I corresponded with you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks, David. On the same sort of topic, is there a list that members from the Victoria Center communicate with each other?
You're talking about an email list?
Yes.
Yes, there is.
Yeah.
There are several. Why don't I share again and I'll show you.
Yeah, please do.
Yeah, often a lot of the announcements, Larry, about photos and stuff go out on RASC, so Joe will tell you about that one.
And it's under members only.
Members only.
Yeah, it's members only.
Oh,
Castor 23. It's high security. CASTOR 23.
so this is a protected page as Chris mentioned, and the password we share for all of members is Castor 23. And in here you will have information about meetings. There's all the different minutes and notes and stuff like that. Council meeting minutes are in here. Annual general meetings for Victoria Center are in here. And there was.
It's up there, right about.
Yeah, here it is. Yeah. So there's email lists here. So you can have a look at these. And you'll see there's a email address here, which is what you use to request membership. The memberships in these email lists is handled manually.
Okay.
That way we keep it secure and we don't get any, you know what going on
That
them.
makes sense, yeah.
Yeah, so I'll just, since we have the time, maybe I'll just go through them briefly. The Sky News email list is a notification list. That means that if you reply to it, I'm the only one that's going to get the email. It's not a discussion list. It's a
Okay.
notification list, outbound only. And we use that to tell members when the Sky News is published every month and when it's available. And we also use it to remind members about significant events happening. For example, Astronomy Cafe is announced every Saturday by Chris, just to give people a heads up as to what's happening within Victoria Centre. RASC Vic email list is a much smaller list, and it's an opt-in list. The Sky News list, you can opt out of it if you want to, but basically that's taken from the membership role, and we build it from there. RASC Vic is a back and forth chit chat type, talk about whatever you want type of thing, as long as it's related to astronomy. And so you can subscribe to that as well. Again, Chris can handle that. Chris Purse. Go up here to the membership and give them an email. The DAO list is for volunteers who go up to Observatory Hill on Saturday nights and who are Victoria Centre members. And it's a very light traffic list, but occasionally something happens up there and Lauri or someone else needs to tell the people who go up there to volunteer about it. So that's how that works. Hill Obs is an active observers list. We refer to it as the active observers list, even though it's called Hill Obs. And basically that's Victoria Centre's observatory. Anyone who wants to take advantage of using the equipment in our Victoria Centre Observatory. It's a members only facility. It's not open to the public. You can say, okay, I want to be an active observer, and you can sign up to that list. And then whenever any observing sessions are going to be started up there, then that's where you'll hear about it. There's a couple of hoops that Chris Purse can tell you about. When you say you want to sign up to that, basically it's on NRC land, and we have a couple of rules we have to follow.
Well, it's in the next section there, if you.
It is, yeah. So here you can read this if you want to. It's not onerous, but you do have to read these policies and agreements and agree to NRC's conditions. Not a big deal.
I had to pass a test.
Oh,
We don't have a
goodness.
test anymore?
We don't have a test anymore.
Oh my God.
Well, we do have a safety briefing, which hasn't happened in years now. But that's at NRC's bequest, and it may start happening again. Who knows?
Are there any updates to that? Last I read, Bruce said there were only 2 allowed at the Plaskett parking lot. And I've heard nothing as far as anybody being up there.
Reg is working with NRC to liberalize the rules, and he's doing a pretty good job of it, but we're just not quite there yet. It'll happen.
In charge to let you in.
Okay. It'll happen. Observing at UVic now.
We haven't done that for ages.
We haven't done that for ages, but you know, UVic astronomy students are doing the Wednesday night sessions. So I probably should get a link to that or publicize it a little bit, because the problem is, of course, being UVic students, they're more on social media. They don't really do email lists, and they don't do websites. They're more into social media, so that's how they communicate. But I can try and get some clues as to how to plug into that. Or you can just show up on Wednesday
Pretty
nights.
well, it's every Wednesday night.
It is, yeah, you can just show up. It's not that big a
it's
deal.
public.
It's at, just look for the big dome. There's 2 big domes there, one with a smiley face and one with not. And the one with not is the building you need to go into. That's the Bob Wright building at UVic, Wednesday nights.
Have there or are there public observing nights up at the DAO? Is that something that's happening now?
Lauri, a question for you.
Yeah, perfect.
Was the question that there are public observing nights?
Yeah, I was wondering, are there or have there been public observing nights up at the big dome?
Yes.
Yes, we had them right through from June to the end of September, every Saturday night. They're called star parties, and you get their free tickets. You get them through Eventbrite, but we're still only allowed 150 people on the hill each time we have a star party, and the tickets go within minutes when they are opened to the FDAO members. Do get first dibs on the tickets, and then if there are any left over, then they go live on to the public. In fact, Saturday night, our next star party is November the 26th. And it's going to be on with Dr. Tyrone Woods, and he's going to be talking about the Castor Canadian Space Telescope that is actively working in the optical, not in the not as the James Webb, and he's going to be talking to us about that. So those go on. That right now we're doing once a month. We're not doing once a week. It's just once a month. And I can put up some information on the RASC site in order for people to sign up for those. So we're still active, and lots of things going on up at the hill. But the star parties themselves in the evening are right now just once a month. The next one will be December the 17th. And then we go for one in January, February, March, and then April. I was just going to ask, actually, that's why a hand was up. I was just going to say that April the 29th, I believe, I may have the date a little bit wrong if somebody's got a calendar up. I believe it's like April the 27th or April 29th is International Astronomy Day. And so if we're looking ahead as a group to do anything more, we've got a date for International Astronomy Day, and we'll be kind of doing something there. So just for anybody, it costs $25 for a year's membership with the Friends of the DAO. And we are sustained by memberships and donations and the odd little bit of funding and grant that we get, but it's very active. This week we have eight sessions of school groups going up, and today it was a wonderful morning. Today we had 27 teachers from the Llewellyn School up at the Wasanic Tribal School. We had 25 teachers and teachers' aides doing a professional development this morning, which was just great to get that connection and that support. And we're hoping that we can go back to their school and talk to the kids, and that they're going to bring their kids to the program. And it was just a wonderful day. And then in the afternoon, we had some students from the navigation classes for the Navy, and they were coming up and doing some work on sextant with learning how to use the sextants and celestial navigation. So that's a different kind of things that we do, as well as tomorrow we've got 4 different classes coming up of grade 6s from the thing. So it's very active, and lots of things going on up at the center. In the evenings, we're not doing quite as much except just the one night. So, okay, I'll leave it there. Thank you.
So Lauri, I have a question for you. Is the stuff that you're doing with the FDAO, is that now been transferred from this club, the school stuff, or are you doing 2 groups of school stuff?
Well, before, Sid and I used to go into the schools. I mean, that was the main thing, is the schools would ask us to go in. Yeah. We would go into the schools for free, and we would do the programs. And at one point, when the center was open, then some of the schools would also go up to the center and actually have a tour of the center. Now, since Sid has not been well and is not really as much able to kind of continue to go into the schools as much, and because of obviously the 2 years of the pandemic, we did everything virtually. So Sid and Calvin and I were doing the programs virtually for the schools all together. And so we were doing it as a group. Now that we're kind of back up at the center and it's very busy, I'm not sure when I would have any time if a school asked me to go into the schools, because I'm up at the center doing all the work at the schools. If there's anybody who would like to kind of take over going into the schools and doing a program in the schools, it would be much appreciated, and the schools would absolutely love it, I know. But we need to get a new team, and we need to get a new group of people to start that up again. So any of you that are retired and wanting to go into schools and talk to kids, talk to me. Nathan, thank you. Yes. Oh, you're not retired. Oh, too bad. Yeah. Okay. I mean, it's absolutely worth, and I think that this is kind of part of what we need to talk about with the public outreach, and about what we're doing with public outreach with it. We're changing things around a little bit, and we're doing some transitioning from one thing that we used to do. And the pandemic has kind of put a little bit of a bump in the road. So yeah.
Good. Thank you. Just wondering.
Yeah.
Gary, are you still looking for someone to man the RASC table on the 26th?
No, I had quite a few volunteers for that, but I am looking for someone for December 17th.
Okay, put me down, Steve Robinson.
Okay, thank you.
And Nathan is going to be the speaker on December 17th. He's going to be our main speaker at 8 o'clock and then 9 o'clock. So all come out and come and hear Nathan.
Attaboy, Nathan.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it. And even though I'm not retired, I would be interested in finding out more about how I could do school outreach. I mean, is being retired equally equivalent to not having a job yet? Or is it?
That's what I was just saying. It's very similar to school.
Anytime, Nathan, that you've got some time to give to go into the schools to help us, that would be absolutely fantastic. Yes.
Excellent. Thanks, Lauri. And any other subjects for tonight?
Oh, I have a quick question for Lauri. I saved it here. Any update on the construction on the road?
It's bad.
Of course it is.
But it's working. The lights that are on the road. How many people have been up to kind of up at the site? Okay, if you have not been up to the center in the past 2 months or a month and a half, you will be amazed, because there is, at one point in the road, there is no right-hand side of the road going up the hill. It's completely and totally obliterated. There's only a left-hand side of the road. The rest of it went down the hill. And so they are having to remake up, redo and reconstruct that part of the hill again. So there is a light at the place where it starts, and lights at both ends, and you wait for the green light to go through. And it's not bad during off working hours. They let you go through pretty quickly. During working hours, it can actually be sometimes 10 minutes or so that you'll have to wait, because they're doing something on the road that they need to have the big construction vehicles up in there, and then they clear everybody off and everybody stands away and lets the cars through, and back again. So I believe it's going to be probably at least another 2 or 3 months, maybe even more, before that is finished. So I think it's going to be a pretty well all winter thing, but you just have to be careful. And especially at night when when there's just the cones up, just don't kind of veer over to the right-hand side. I'll just say that.
Or left if you're going down.
Or left side if you're going down. That's right. Yeah. Oh.
Is that all stemming, Lauri, from the weather we had about one exact year ago?
Yes, exactly. Yeah,
Okay.
the side, a little bit of the side kind of went away. And so all year, if you had been up, you'd see cones kind of in that little area. And then they had to do, because it's very specialized national site, they had to have a whole bunch of people in. There were herpetologists, there were biologists, there were people looking at kind of vegetation, there were people who were looking at the geologists, and it took a year for them to do all of the work that needed to be done before they finally got going on the road. And then about a week into the construction, one part of the road fell away. So they had to redo they had to start kind of again.
Wow.
So, but part of that road is over 100 years old, so, yes. Anyway. Fun
Don't look too
time.
closely.
Yeah, the school buses can get up. I mean, obviously it's got to be big enough it has to be big enough for the fire engines. Like they have to leave room for fire engines to get up there. So that's the kind of the main thing, is to have the road wide enough to be able to get the fire engines up. The school buses can get up. That's not a problem. The great big trucks go through, but we had to stop the great big, huge buses that were coming from the cruise lines. The last two cruises we had to cancel because the cruise buses were so big that they couldn't get through the site safely. So there we go.
What's a herpetologist, Lauri?
Reptiles and amphibians.
Snakes.
Oh, snakes. Okay.
We have very specific snakes on the hill that don't belong anywhere else.
Oh.
Yeah. So there you go.
That's the sharp-tailed snake.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
They
I'm
live
pretty
out
sure
here
the snake
too.
is a euphemism for the road that leads up.
Yeah, that's it. Yes. Yeah, there we go.
The 180-degree turn.
Yeah.
Suddenly right before you get up there.
Yeah. That's great stuff. Yeah.
So I do have a picture, Brock, if if people want to see it.
Would love to.
Time. It's just related to our discussion last week, and it's a topic that comes up quite frequently. Hopefully I'm sharing my screen here.
You are.
What you see here is this is the Tadpoles Nebula in Auriga. It's another star forming region. And after you image quite a few of them, you get to see their nature. There's generally a circle of gas that's been blown away by the star cluster in the center. But often we're shown images that are taken with the Hubble palette. And typical of a Hubble palette are some deep blues with mainly oxygen going through, greens to yellows, which are hydrogen with increasing sulfur, which gives the fringes a red tinge to them.
Dave,
So
can you enlarge that?
Yeah, I believe I can.
Thanks.
So that's my full screen. It's not my greatest screen, so I don't know how pale the colors are. But that's when you're looking at these images, in the Hubble palette, that's what you're using color, is identifying the elements that are emitting the light. But I'm always asked, well, what does it look like? What would it look like to us? Which is kind of difficult to do. But I did take a stab at it by taking the brightness and imposing red, green, blue colors that we normally see on the same image to see what it would look like as we perceive the colors of the thing. Now, what you end up with is something, in this case, that's dominated by reds. Both the primary emission lines of hydrogen and sulfur emits in reds, and the blue that you see here, though, is not necessarily oxygen, although that is contributing to the blue. What you're seeing in the blue, and this is light reflected off of the blue stars off of the dust. But it's kind of interesting. So that's now how we would perceive color of the object. And this is the Hubble palette, which is more showing the composition of the gas clouds.
Beautiful image.
Absolutely.
You can show that in large too. Oh, I can't actually. I don't have the technology.
You've got enough technology, don't worry about it.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Well, speaking of technology, here's my remote imaging session that well, it's doing an autofocus on for me now. That's taking the coal sack. Is that coming through? It's taking the coal sack cluster. This is the NINA. It's free software. It's designed for doing this sort of stuff, and basically flying the telescope as we've been having this meeting.
Where's the telescope?
Here's an image of it. The telescope is out on my patio behind the house.
Okay.
So you can still do two things at once then, huh? Good for you.
If I couldn't, I would never be imaging. I would never be using the telescope.
Thanks for sharing that, Dave.
Yeah.
I have a question, or a whole grab bag of questions. Could someone speak about the Gonzales Observatory? What instrument is there? Is it still functional? Have there ever been public observing programs there?
I think it's a weather station, Larry. It's not
Originally, it was built as a solar observatory, so it has a slit in it.
Yeah, it was for time setting, wasn't it?
Yeah, they actually, Victoria fired a gun at noon, I guess it was, wasn't it?
I think so.
Yeah.
Way back.
Way back. We're talking, 100 years ago. It's a Navy town, as Lauri alluded to, and of course, navigation and timekeeping is very important. And so the observatory was built for that purpose.
Is it a transit instrument then?
Essentially.
It's
not a traditional observatory.
Oh, okay.
For the last few decades, it's just been used as office space.
And a weather station.
And a weather station.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. I think that's everything that if anyone else has anything they'd like to share, otherwise I think we're probably coming to the end.
Thanks a lot, Brock.
Okay. Thanks, everyone.
Hope we can get back to you, Vic, someday.
Have a good night.
Bye.
Bye.